Hey everyone, welcome back to Manga Minute. I'm thrilled to share my latest recap video with you. Now, let's dive right in and enjoy.
In the distant land atop the majestic peak of Manhwa, a young man named Kong Mujiak sat in front of his venerable master, his mind reeling from the words he had just heard. He could hardly believe it, that his master was sending him down from the mountain. Desperately seeking confirmation, Kong Mujiak stammered, "Pardon." The old man, his master, responded with a hearty laugh. "Why are you so surprised? You don't like the idea?" Kong Mujiak, still in shock, replied earnestly, "It's not that, master, but how can I leave you here alone?" His master chuckled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom and affection. "Anna, don't worry about me. Go out into the world, experience many things, and then come back. Our sect's principles prioritize righteousness and harmony, and we are committed to helping the poor and weak. Above all, we have always placed a high value on enforcing justice in the face of evil in the world." The revered Tae Uljan, the founder of our sect, established the 10 Virtuous Deeds rule, and always placed a strong emphasis on righteousness and peace. The 10 Virtuous Deeds refer to 10 righteous actions, which means going out into the world and completing 10 tasks without receiving any reward or compensation. We should stand on the side of the weak. As Kong Mujiak traversed his way down the mountain, he recalled his master's words echoing in his mind. "I also did the 10 virtuous deeds when I was young. I exterminated the den of evils, the blood-death fortress. By crushing the ambition of the 9 shades heaven, I saved many lives. And now, the time has come for you to do the 10 virtuous deeds." He journeyed further into his memories, continuing to ponder. 15 years. It's been 15 years. I came to the peak of Mount Hua at the age of 14. And it has been 15 years since I received my master's teachings. Stopping for a moment from his walk, he reflected on his life. Life on the peak of Mount Hua is absolute hell. Looking back towards the mountain peak, Kong Mujiak shouted, "Unorthodox sect, Demon King Li Tian, Blood Death Fortress?" It was probably just a level of accomplishment similar to clearing out a bandit's hideout or defeating a leader of a third-rate gang. The only reason those useless pieces of trash are popular is because of their catchy names. Kuhaha. This disciple is aware of the master's bluff. Satisfied with venting his frustrations about his past, he exclaimed, "Finally, I'm free. Kuhahaha. Wait for me, world. I will spread my name far and wide and become invincible." With joy, he continued running all the way down the mountain, eager to embrace the freedom and challenges that awaited him. As Kong Mujiak ran down the mountain, memories of his younger self flooded his mind. "I should have listened to my friend back then," he thought bitterly. "I made the worst mistake of my life. Being born an orphan with no family to attach to was one reason I fell for the sweet talk. At that time, I thought following master was the way to gain true freedom. However, if only I had known that was the beginning of my 15 years of hardship and struggle." Furious at his own naivety, he raged, "Earg! If I knew I would end up living a harsher life on this mountain, I would have never followed my master." He recalled a pivotal moment in his childhood when he saw his future master punch a massive tree trunk. In awe, he exclaimed, "My gosh! How did you do that?" His master responded calmly, "It's called internal chi release." "Internal chi release?" Kong Mujiak stammered, wide-eyed with amazement. "Yes, it is for directing a technique to release the energy within your body," his master explained. "Wow, can I learn it too?" The young Kong Mujiak asked, his excitement palpable. "Why? Would you like to learn it?" His master inquired with a knowing smile. Without much thought, the young Kong Mujiak nodded vigorously. "Yes." One of his friend tried to stop him, whispering urgently, "Hey, let's talk for a second. That grandpa looks suspicious. I can't quite put my finger on it, but my gut feeling tells me he is a scammer. Didn't you just see with your own eyes that he can punch that big tree?" But the master persuaded the young Kong Mujiak even more. "What you saw earlier is just the basics. You can learn it quickly if you follow me." With unwavering resolve, Kong Mujiak exclaimed, "Wow, amazing. I've already made up my mind. I'll follow you." Thus began the harsh life of Kong Mujiak on the mountain, a life that would last for a grueling 15 years. Standing amidst the bustling road, Kong Mujiak held his wooden sign aloft, its message clear. "Make a request. If it is a justifiable matter, I will fulfill it without any compensation." Surveying the lively scene around him, he found himself lost in thought. Well, I don't necessarily believe in Master's words, but still, it's not like everything has been bad these past 15 years. It is true that my body got stronger while I was learning martial arts from Master and his friends. Considering the favors I've received from the Master thus far, let's keep the Master's will in mind. Our sect is known as the strongest sect in Murim. As the 7th sect master of our sect, you will soon be one of the strongest people in the world. Are you saying that such a great and powerful sect could be hidden on a mountain peak like that? I didn't believe everything Master said, but I'll follow his will. As Kong Mujiak stood, offering his services to the passing crowds, murmurs and whispers began to spread. What? Will he accept any requests? Did he try to make quick money like a thug? Someone exclaimed. Another voice joined in. Yeah, he looks like someone who has lived in the mountains for a long time, doesn't he? I'd rather him beg. Hoo. Came another remark. Hearing the disrespectful murmurs, Kong Mujiak felt a surge of anger rise within him. That's too much. Even if I'm not a big shot, people around here should recognize me a little, right? Why does no one know me? Lost in his thoughts, he was startled as someone approached him. Excuse me, mister. Do you really take any request? Turning towards the voice, Kong Mujiak's initial joy was quickly replaced by surprise as he saw the person before him. What? Isn't this just a kid? He thought, but then he shook off his initial impression. No, age doesn't matter when you make a request. Leaning in, Kong Mujiak asked, How old are you? The kid responded confidently, 12 years old, before quickly adding, Do you really accept any request without payment? Kong Mujiak nodded firmly. As long as it is justifiable. The kid pressed on. Are you strong? Someone with a lot of strength is required to complete the task I'll be asking for. With a confident grin, Kong Mujiak replied, If so, you've come to the right person. Now, tell me the request. The kid wasted no time. Please defeat the Black Flag. Surprised, Kong Mujiak questioned, Black Flag? What did he do? The kid's expression turned grave as he explained. He hurt so many people. A lot of my friends were hurt too. My older sister is injured because of him too. Intrigued, Kong Mujiak asked for more details. Hurting a woman and even a young child? He really is a bad guy. Then, where's that Black Flag now? Pointing towards a building, the kid exclaimed, Did you see the house over there? I heard that just yesterday. Black Flag broke into that house, and Mr. Gong, the owner, fled to avoid him. Kong Mujiak's resolve hardened. To the extent of taking over someone else's house? I understand. I will catch him and find out why. If there is no good reason, then I will give him a good beating. The kid seemed surprised. You want to know his reason? With determination, Kong Mujiak replied, Of course. Regardless of how evil you are, you should still have the opportunity to defend yourself. But then the kid added, But Black Flag is a dog though? Taken aback, Kong Mujiak exclaimed, Dog? The kid clarified, Yes, a very vicious and ferocious dog. Despite the unexpected revelation, Kong Mujiak kept his promise to help the kid and gave the dog a thorough beating, ensuring that it wouldn't harm anyone else in the future. Completed his first quest, Kong Mujiak remarked, Now that he has felt the beating of his life, he will never hurt another human being again. But the request is not finished properly. With a simmering fury, he added, Then if he starts to harass humans again, tell me, at that time, I will beat him again. Back in his usual spot with the wooden sign, Kong Mujiak couldn't help but murmur to himself, The first mission is complete. At this rate, I think I can fulfill all of the 10 virtuous deeds in one day. His mind wandered to the future as he imagined the possibilities. After I fulfill all the requests, what should I do first? How about I start dating? That's right, 29 years old is a perfect age for dating. Kukuku. He began to envision the sweet life that awaited him ahead. But his reverie was abruptly interrupted as someone suddenly exclaimed, Mr. Warrior? Please help me, I beg you. The man in white clothes explained. A wicked woman stole my belongings. No, she took them away. However, I can't possibly get it back on my own. Please help me get it back. Kong Mujiak inquired. What is the object that she took? The man replied. It's an heirloom left to me by my late father. It was a red sword with a dragon pattern engraved on the handle. The sword was known as the Red Dragon Sword. That wicked woman stole my heirloom. That villainous woman. Further probing, Kong Mujiak asked, "Who is that wicked woman?" The man elaborated, "She is the only daughter of the Song family from the Lotus Valley, a wicked woman who commits all kinds of evil deeds. She can kill all the ordinary people like us without blinking an eye." With enough details to proceed, Kong Mujiak nodded and departed to fulfill the request, ready to confront the wicked woman and retrieve the stolen heirloom. The guy, communicating telepathically, asked, "The special unit has moved?" His subordinates responded in kind. Yes, they should have gathered near the Song family by now to prepare for the ambush. The guy remarked, "Ho ho, it looks like they were also in a hurry. An ambush in broad daylight like this." The subordinates replied, "Choi Young is definitely strong. However, the red dragon sword will eventually be in our hands." The guy cautioned, "Be cautious about making assumptions, because nobody can predict what will happen until we get our hands on the sword." The subordinates acknowledged, "I understand. Then please go back to Luro now." But the guy refused. "No, I'll wait for him." Taken aback, the subordinates inquired, "Pardon? Do you think he will bring the red dragon sword? I thought you were just playing around." The guy explained, "I was just playing around at first. However, for some reason, I have this strange feeling of anticipation." "Do you know about the black flag?" The subordinates responded, "Black flag? You mean the dog that's known for its ferocity? 20 years ago, there was a big shot named Huxin who was active in the Central Plain. And because of him, a lot of people died, even more than the public knew. And there were many masters from Murim among them. He had strange martial arts and strange subordinates, and he was also good at all kinds of tricks. Some of his subordinates, in particular, were not human. Black Flag was a spiritual being that Huxin always carried around with him. It is estimated that the dog has lived for more than 300 years. And to subdue that Black Flag with just a few stick moves, he must be a master of some strange technique or have some special ability. Or the Black Flag was much weaker than we expected." The subordinates speculated further. "Perhaps he is a great master." But the guy denied, "No, I don't think so. If he is, I would have already noticed." Even though there were hardly any traces of internal energy, there seemed to be something about him. The subordinates pondered, "By any chance, if he is such a great master that the Lord is unaware of it, how great of a master would he be?" The guy remarked, "That would never happen, but assuming what you say is true, then he must be as powerful as, if not stronger than, the supreme level." Arriving in front of a building, Kong Mujiak remarked, "That wicked girl lives here?" The advice of his master echoing in Kong Mujiak's head. "Know thy enemy and know thyself, and you will be victorious in 100 battles. Wherever you go, keep your ears open wide. No matter what you do, you need to be knowledgeable in order to avoid making mistakes." As Kong Mujiak focused on honing his hearing ability, he began to pick up on the conversations of those around him. He heard someone exclaim, "I heard there was a big fight at the Song family manor yesterday?" Another voice responded, "I heard a dozen of martial artists died?" A third voice interjected, "You mean dozens? Do you think the Song family only has a few warriors?" The conversation continued. "The Song family is no longer the same as it used to be. Didn't their power weaken a lot since the family head disappeared 3 years ago? Even so, they are still the best here. It won't be so easy to take down the Song family. They will not be destroyed so easily. Anyway, I hope that evil woman disappeared. I heard that several people are getting killed by that evil woman using poison. She has the appearance of a fairy, but inside she is so rotten." Listening to the snippets of conversation swirling around him, Kong Mujiak couldn't help but wonder, "What is this? It's as if they're giving me only the information I want to hear." Needing more details, Kong Mujiak once again focused his hearing ability. "Shall I now listen to the other side's point of view?" As he honed in on his target, he declared, "It's here, behind a curtain." A lady exclaimed, "Jinwoo, what should we do now?" Impressed by the voice, Kong Mujiak couldn't help but praise, "It's a beautiful voice. There is a purity in the sound that seems to melt people's hearts like a magical power." A man, appearing to be an escort guard, Jinwoo, reassured her, "Don't worry too much, miss. I will protect you no matter what happens. Your safety comes before the sword." Pressed on, the lady remarked, "How can I not worry in this kind of situation? Rather than me, it's more important to protect this sword until my father returns. If we lose this sword, our family is done for. At that time, not only will it be the end of my life, but the end of our family as well. Promise me, Jinwoo. Promise me that protecting this sword will be your top priority. Having heard enough of their conversation, Kang Mujiak analyzed, "This is a bit weird. The sword is the same as what I've heard. But somehow, the atmosphere seems different." As he contemplated, Kang Mujiak was startled by a sudden movement of trained warriors, becoming wary. Trained martial artists. As the group of intruders charged towards the inner sanctum of the manor, the guards shouted, "Who are you all?" attempting to prevent them from advancing further. However, the guards were quickly defeated, failing to halt the intruders' progress. Standing before the door, a warning from one of the intruders was cut short as a sword struck his head, shattering the door. As the door broke open, a fine lady emerged accompanied by an escort guard. The intruders were captivated by her beauty and momentarily frozen in awe. However, their leader snapped them back to focus, shouting, "Guys, focus." Approaching the lady, the leader of the intruders, Choi Young, inwardly pondered, despite the fact that I had already warned them about Song Ji-yun's beauty, for them to react this way, as one would expect from Song Ji-yun, the third beauty of heaven. However, it is an unavoidable situation. It's even more exaggerated than the rumor. Stepping closer, he added, "That's Jinwoo, the escort guard captain. He is well known in this Lotus Valley region as an exceptional master." Confronting Choi Young, the lady demanded, "What do you want?" Choi Young responded, "I'm sure you already know our purpose?" Drawing a sword, the lady added, "Are you here for this sword?" Observing, Choi Young remarked, "Give us the sword, and we'll spare your life." The lady exclaimed, "How dare you come to someone else's house and demand something out of the blue? If anyone hears this, they'll think you came here to take something you left behind." Mockingly, the Choi Young retorted, "That's not something you can afford to hold anyway." Challenging, the lady responded, "What's the difference between me and you? Since there is not just one person coveting this sword, I'm sure as soon as you take this sword, you will immediately lose your life. Even if this sword is said to be the sacred treasure of the royal family." Choi Young asserted, "That's not for you to worry about. That is an important item that is worth the degree of risk." Displaying the sword, the lady continued, "Is there any other reason why someone would risk their life to obtain this?" Pointing the sword towards the intruders, she added, "All right, then take it." Choi Young exclaimed, "There you go, a wise decision. There is no need to shed unnecessary blood." Yet, the lady quickly interjected, "Only on the condition that you can take it from Jinwoo." Handing the sword to her escort, she added, "I'm counting on you again this time." The guard, Jinwoo, responded humbly, "Don't worry, miss," as he accepted the sword and swiftly readied himself to confront the intruders. Observing Jinwoo, Choi Young pondered, "It is said that the Red Dragon Sword's power varies greatly depending on who wields it. Indeed, the rumors are true." Becoming wary of Jinwoo, Choi Young ordered his subordinates, "Everyone, stay on your toes. Surround him." However, Jinwoo was quick to react and didn't allow the intruders to get into formation, swiftly defeating them one after another. As tension reached its peak, someone arrived in the middle of the field and shouted, "Everyone, stop!" startling everyone present. Observing Kang Mujiak, Choi Young couldn't shake off his curiosity. "What's with this guy? He seems ordinary, and I can't sense any remarkable internal power. But still, why can't I ignore this feeling? Is it because he seems unusually calm?" Standing amidst the commotion, Kang Mujiak's voice rang out, "From now on, no one may draw their sword without my permission." Choi Young issued a warning. "Who are you? If you don't want to die, step aside immediately." But Kang Mujiak remained unfazed. "I am Kang Mujik." His gaze swept across the scene until it settled on the elegant lady. A faint blush adorned his cheeks as he quietly mused, "She's even more beautiful than I guessed from her voice. Truly a beauty." Suddenly, Kang Mujiak exclaimed, Are you Song Gi-yeon?" The lady, Song Gi-yeon, replied, "Yes, that's right. Who are you?" Maintaining his composure, Kang Mujiak answered, "I am Kang Mujiak, here at a client's request. I got involved because someone requested me to retrieve their sword." With a weary sigh, Song Gi-yeon remarked, "Erg, This is never ending. Attempting to clarify, Kang Mujiak insisted, I'm not on their side, so don't misunderstand. In a calm yet firm tone, Song Gaeyeon simply replied, naturally. Undeterred, Kang Mujiak pressed on. I would like to have a little conversation. As she turned away, Song Gaeyeon's voice held a warning. If you don't want to die, go away. Hearing her words, Kang Mujiak couldn't help but add, so the rumors were true? Confused, Song Gaeyeon inquired. Rumors? Kang Mujiak continued, his tone tinged with accusation. You're the heartless villainess who thinks nothing of human life? Jinwoo couldn't hold back his anger. You're rude, Kang Mujiak retorted. I've never been good with manners. With growing frustration, Jinwoo snapped, you're short on words. Mocking him, Kang Mujiak fired back. You seem short on thought? Seething with rage, Jinwoo questioned, are you trying to play word games with me? In a calm yet cutting manner, Kang Mujiak replied, isn't it better than playing with lives? Pointing a sword towards Kang Mujiak, Jinwoo pressed, did you say you wanted this sword? Kang Mujiak clarified, Nanana. Not that cheap sword. The red sword engraved with the dragon. It's called the Crimson Dragon Sword. With a mix of frustration and realization, Jinwoo exclaimed, so, you're also after the Crimson Dragon Sword. Meanwhile, Choi Young and his subordinates watching from the sidelines couldn't help but feel uneasy. His excessive leisureliness is somewhat bothersome, especially since we have to face Jinwoo, we can't be rash. Seeking confirmation, Kang Mujiak asked, surely you're not seriously planning to fight me? Jinwoo's response was simple. Why not? Kang Mujiak countered. I have millions of reasons. Pressing for just one, Jinwoo challenged. Spit it then. Without missing a beat, Kang Mujiak stated, don't you think you're too weak to withstand my punch? In a swift move, Jinwoo lunged towards Kang Mujiak. With that level of confidence, I guess you won't feel guilty about killing me. Maintaining his relaxed demeanor, Kang Mujiak replied, don't resent me. Jinwoo fired back, you're the one. As the bystanders watched the clash unfold, they commented, it's a mismatch. Boxing against the Crimson Dragon Sword. He must be out of his mind. Yet, despite the odds, Kang Mujiak seemed unfazed by the confrontation. With a calm demeanor, Kang Mujiak reassured, I won't kill you, so there's no need to be so scared. However, the bystanders couldn't contain their astonishment. The Crimson Dragon Sword broke? They exclaimed in disbelief. Just like that. Unaware of the gravity of his actions, Kang Mujiak continued, you understand my strength now, don't you? Hand over the Crimson Dragon Sword while I'm still asking nicely. Observing the shattered sword on the ground, Choi Young issued an order. There's no longer a reason to be here, as they hastily retreated from the scene. As the intruders fled, Kang Mujiak chuckled. Who are those guys? Why are they all leaving suddenly? Oh ho, you just now realized how scary I am. Didn't you? Ha ha ha. Cute little fools. Turning his attention to Jinwoo, Kang Mujiak demanded, what are you doing? Now, obediently hand over the Crimson Dragon Sword. However, as his gaze fell upon the broken sword, Kang Mujiak's expression turned to one of disbelief. Huh? When did the sword turn so red? Realization dawned on him as he recognized the familiar weapon. No, it couldn't be. Confirming Kang Mujiak's suspicions, Jinwoo exclaimed, yes, this sword is the Crimson Dragon Sword you've been looking for. Shocked to the core, Kang Mujiak shouted, what? The broken sword is the Crimson Dragon Sword? Trying to deny the reality before him, he added, no, stop joking. The sacred weapon of the army leader, the treasured sword. Can it break so easily from just one of my punches? No, right? That's a fake, right? Is it real? Overflowing with anger, Song Gaeyeon's voice dripped with disdain as she grimly stated, what did you just do? Attempting to salvage the situation, Kang Mujiak remarked, the so-called sacred sword has become so weak. However, Song Gaeyeon's fury only intensified. You're you saying that now? She marched towards the sword, her hands trembling as she picked it up from the ground, tears streaming down her face. Witnessing her reaction, Kang Mujiak's panic surged. This is insane. This wasn't my plan. Trying to offer some consolation, Kang Mujiak hurriedly added, it wasn't yours to begin with, was it? Don't take it too hard. However, Jinwoo swiftly interjected, I don't know who sent you, but they got it wrong. The Crimson Dragon Sword is the sacred weapon of the army leader. Our family leader received it directly from the army leader. Responding with frustration, Kong Mujiak protested. I said I wanted to talk in the first place, and swords can break. Just because a sword broke, you're acting like someone died. He tried to maintain his innocence in the matter. Just a sword? Do you know what kind of sword this is? I can't forgive you. Her voice reverberated with indignation and hurt. In tears, Song Gaeon poured out her anguish. This sword means everything to me. Can you even comprehend its significance to our family? Her voice trembled with despair as she continued. It was entrusted to our father by the clan leader. If they find out what happened to the sword, they won't leave us in peace at the righteous martial clan. Struggling to grasp the gravity of the situation, Kong Mujiak responded. Are you suggesting that your father and the clan leader, who are supposed to be allies, would react so strongly to a broken sword? In a moment of desperation, Song Gaeon cried out, It's all over. Because of you, our family is doomed. Her tears flowed more intensely with each passing moment. Trying to offer some form of comfort, Kong Mujiak asked, What can I do to help? But Song Gaeon's response was filled with anger and frustration. Just go and die. Unwilling to comply with such a drastic request, Kong Mujiak insisted. That's a bit extreme. Can't I do something else? Jinwoo intervened firmly. Just leave immediately. Preparing to depart, Kong Mujiak offered a heartfelt apology. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. However, before he could turn away, Song Gaeon's voice rang out with a demand. Where do you think you're going? Fix this sword. You broke it, so it's your responsibility to fix it. Confused by the request, Kong Mujiak questioned, How does one even repair a broken sword? Unable to provide a solution, he added, For now, I'll leave, but I promise to return. Jinwoo's response was filled with regret. I wish this had never happened. As Kong Mujiak began to leave, Song Gaeon's frustration boiled over. This is unacceptable. Come back. Don't run away. Face the consequences. You coward. As he headed back towards his place, Kong Mujiak reflected on the events that had just unfolded. I had a blast, he mused. But I was too hasty. I was so excited about stepping into the world that I took everything too lightly. Coming to terms with his mistake, he resolved, Fine. As long as I learn from this and don't repeat it, it's okay. There's no use in regretting it. Just then, his stomach growled loudly, reminding him of a more immediate concern. First, I need to fill my stomach. I haven't eaten anything since I came down from the mountain. However, another troubling realization struck him. But I have no money. I should have just eaten that Black Flag bastard from before. No, what am I thinking? Every life is precious. As he got frustrated, he lamented, I need to put such thoughts aside and find something valuable. Then, a sudden idea brightened his expression. Ah, that's it. That will sell. Reminiscing about his days in the mountains, Kong Mujiak recalled an exchange with one of his masters. The master proudly declared, If you're talking about this flute, it's what I used in my childhood. Even the strongest warriors used to tremble and flee when I took this out. Curious, the young Kong Mujiak asked, Why would they run away from Grandpa's flute? His master explained, Naturally, because I was renowned in music. No one could stand within a radius of 200 steps when I started to play this flute. With a hint of nostalgia, the master boasted. They would all quiver and flee, though some were more drawn to it. Unimpressed, Kong Mujiak questioned, Who were they? With a smug grin, the master replied, Who else but women, of course. Regardless of age, they would lose their minds and flock to me. Handing the flute to the young Kong Mujiak, the master remarked, So, the flute is very valuable. Treat it with care. Taken aback, Kong Mujiak asked, Huh? Are you giving it to me? Handing over the flute, the master explained, It's perhaps a bit too valuable for you, but isn't it better to let it venture out into the world than to let it gather dust here in the mountains? Someday, it will prove useful. Inside the pawn shop, Kong Mujiak was eager to get down to business. Start by telling me how much you're willing to offer. The merchant took a moment to examine the flute carefully once more. As he studied it, he couldn't hide his shock. This is far from ordinary. It's a combination of diamond and white lotus steel, with a hint of hematite mixed in. And these intricate patterns. It's a precious item that's so valuable it's hard to put a price on. With a plan forming in his mind, the merchant thought to himself, "Heh, it's no big deal to take advantage of a newcomer like you." After finishing his examination, the merchant shook his head. "That's a shame." Confused, Kong Mujiak demanded, "What do you mean?" Starting his merchant tactic, the merchant explained, "The material is excellent, and the design is superb. However, there's a problem. The item itself is too old. Maybe 10 years ago it would have fetched a good price. But these days, not many people buy antiques like this." Growing impatient, Kong Mujiak cut in. "Enough with the useless talk. How much are you offering?" The merchant chuckled. "Oh, you're quite impatient. Normally, it would be hard to even get 5 taels of silver for this. But considering your situation, I'll add 2 more. 7 taels." Hearing the offer, Kong Mujiak swiftly retrieved his flute from the merchant's grasp and made his way to the exit. Observing his departure, the merchant called out, "It'll be the same anywhere else you go." As he walked away, Kong Mujiak began counting under his breath. 1, 2. As anticipated, the merchant quickly changed his tune. "Wait, hold on." Attempting to salvage the situation, the merchant continued, "Why are you in such a hurry? It's not that I'm unwilling to help. You seem to be in a tough spot." Getting back to negotiation, he added, "So, how much do you need?" Kong Mujiak's response was swift. 500 taels. Hearing Kong Mujiak's demand, the merchant's eyes widened in disbelief. 500 taels? Maintaining his stance, Kong Mujiak retorted, "If you don't agree with the price, there's nothing more I can do." Attempting to negotiate a lower price, the merchant argued, "Even if it's a valuable item, it's not worth 500 taels. That's an outrageous sum. Even if it were brand new, I couldn't fetch that much." Unyielding, Kong Mujiak exclaimed, "No matter what anyone says, if it's not 500 taels, I'm not selling." Trying to compromise, the merchant conceded, "All right, I'll extend a bit of goodwill today. I'll go up to 20 taels. You won't find a better offer anywhere else." However, Kong Mujiak remained resolute. 500 taels. Frustrated by Kong Mujiak's insistence, the merchant pondered to himself, "This stubborn fellow, what does he think he's playing at? Is he a sly snake or just plain foolish?" Finding it difficult to reach an agreement, the merchant probed, "Are you being stubborn because you think you can sell that item for 500 taels?" In a somber tone, Kong Mujiak opened up, "In truth, this flute was a final gift from an old man I admired. You might see it as a simple object, but it is very precious to me. I wouldn't be selling it if I wasn't so desperate. If I do sell it, I should at least get 500 taels. Otherwise, I'd feel sorry for him." Disheartened by the realization, Kong Mujiak sighed. "That's too bad. But don't you think you will find someone willing to pay that price if you look around long enough?" As he turned his back and heading towards the exit, he added, "But what if there isn't anyone? It's something I should keep and cherish." Reluctant to let the potential profit slip away, the merchant made a bold offer. "All right, your situation is tough as well, so I'll be bold. I'll give you 100 taels." But Kong Mujiak remained steadfast. 500 taels. Undeterred, the merchant countered, 150. Insisting on his price, Kong Mujiak exclaimed, 500. Growing frustrated, the merchant relented. "All right, fine, 200 taels." But Kong Mujiak stood firm. 500 taels. In a final attempt to close the deal, the merchant raised his offer. "Damn it, 300 taels." Surprisingly, Kong Mujiak agreed and accepted the offered price. "Deal." He quickly handed over his flute to the merchant and specified his terms. "Please provide 10 taels in silver and the remainder in a promissory note. That makes it 300 taels in total." As the transaction concluded, the merchant couldn't help but realize, "Damn, I got tricked." As Kong Mujiak savored his meal in the restaurant, he couldn't help but revel in his recent success. "Haha, what a stroke of luck. That was easiest 300 taels ever. I made an offer, and it got accepted." However, his enjoyment was interrupted by the murmurs of other patrons. "Have you heard the rumor? They say the Crimson Dragon's sword broke." "What? You must be joking," someone responded incredulously. How could the Crimson Dragon Sword, the sacred weapon of the Chung clan, be broken? Another person chimed in. The conversation piqued Kong Mujiak's interest, and he listened intently as the discussion continued. Well, I didn't believe it at first either, but apparently it's true. Several people witnessed it, the guy explained. Another patron added, as long as there's justification, they'll act according to their interests. The conversation left Kong Mujiak feeling uneasy, and suddenly, a sharp pain pierced through his head, causing him to fall from his seat. Clutching his head in agony, he exclaimed, "It's happening again." It all began when he turned 15, the onset of these debilitating headaches. It occurred on the day he first attempted to deceive his master and escape from Springflower Mountain. That dreadful headache caused him to lose consciousness, collapsing before he could flee the mountain. Since then, whenever the headache struck, they often persisted for 2 days or more. However, it wasn't merely an illness. It was a consequence of his martial arts training. He could never quite find a satisfactory explanation. Every time the headaches emerged, it coincided with a lie he told. This martial arts technique had an unintended consequence, inducing headaches whenever he spoke falsehoods. In truth, the headaches were linked not just to lies, but also to a deep sense of guilt. Struggling to regain his composure, he pondered, after hearing about their Red Dragon Divine Sword, I unconsciously feel guilty. With determination in his eyes, he rushed towards the exit. Damn, I need to find a solution. Handing over the sword, the patriarch spoke with solemnity. This is the divine sword of the leader of the Zhong Military Alliance, the Red Dragon Divine Sword, he announced. Startled, Song Gaeyeon questioned her father. Father, why have you brought the divine sword? In response, her father explained the dire situation. The leader seems to be facing considerable challenges at the moment. Curious, Song Gaeyeon pressed further. What exactly is the leader struggling with? Her father continued, revealing the gravity of the situation. It appears that unusual events are unfolding within the alliance. Someone seems to be plotting something, and it likely revolves around this Red Dragon Divine Sword. Therefore, the leader entrusted it to me in secret. I feel compelled to go to the alliance. In the meantime, I need you to safeguard this sword. Concerned for her father's safety, Song Gaeyeon voiced her worries. Are you planning to go alone? You mentioned that unusual events are occurring in the alliance. Could be perilous. Offering reassurance, her father replied, I've considered the risks. However, I must go. The confidentiality of the Red Dragon Divine Sword is paramount. The safety of our entire family could be jeopardized if any information about it were to leak. Once the situation stabilizes, I will return promptly. Please don't worry too much. Remember, our family's fortune is intimately tied to this Red Dragon Divine Sword. With resolve in his heart, her father departed for the alliance 3 years prior. Since then, there had been no word from him. However, just a few days ago, Song Gaeyeon received a letter from him, promising his imminent return and urging her to safeguard the sword at all costs. Seated across Song Gaeyeon, Jinwoo sought to ease her worries. Don't worry too much. Since the sword broke, there won't be any sudden attacks anymore. However, Song Gaeyeon remained apprehensive. They might not be after the sword anymore, but what about the Zhong Military Alliance? Will they just let this situation pass? Jinwoo sought to comfort her. Our family had once climbed to the position of an elder in the Zhong Military Alliance. Furthermore, he is close friends with the leader, so they won't easily target the sword. With a troubled expression, Song Gaeyeon voiced her unease. That's what makes it more dangerous. I can't trust the elders there. Jinwoo urged her to focus on their family's safety. Focus on protecting our family until our head returns. Fortunately, he is coming back soon, so when he returns, he will give us an answer. Their conversation was abruptly interrupted by a messenger. Excuse me, a guest has arrived. Curious, Song Gaeyeon inquired. A guest? Who is it? The messenger relayed the information. He claims to be an envoy from Taiwan. Observing the Song family residence from a distance, Kong Mujiak found himself lost in contemplation. This is crazy. I actually came? What should I say? His mind was a whirlwind of confusion as he struggled to find the right words. This is not a situation that can be resolved with a word or two. Furthermore, she was really beautiful. Damn it, Why am I thinking such useless things? Despite his uncertainty, Kong Mujiak couldn't shake the sense of determination that had brought him here. Walking towards the guests, Song Gaeun's eyes lit up as she recognized the figure before her. Master Guan. Guan, acknowledging her, replied warmly, "It's been a while." Reflecting on their last encounter, Song Gaeun nodded. "Yes, about 3 years, right?" Guan recalled the occasion. "The last time was when you came with your father, so it must be around that time. Still no word from your father." With a hint of sadness, Song Gaeun confirmed, "Yes." Seeking to offer reassurance, Guan spoke confidently. "Don't worry too much. Your father isn't someone who'd be easily bested by anyone." With a gesture of hospitality, Song Gaeun invited him in. "Please come in. I'll guide you to the guest house. You liked black tea, didn't you?" However, Guan humbly declined. "No, I was just passing by, so I don't have much time. Let's postpone the tea for the next opportunity." Song Gaeun's expression turned somber as she processed Guan's words. "Ah, I see. So, you're leaving right away." Confirming his imminent departure, Guan nodded. Yes, I stopped by because there is something I wanted to ask you." Eager to hear his inquiry, Song Gaeun encouraged him. "Go ahead." Guan broached the delicate topic. "I've heard that you have the Red Dragon Divine Sword. However, I heard it's broken. Is that true?" With a heavy heart, Song Gaeun confirmed, "Yes, it's true. It seems the whole world knows about it now." Expressing disbelief, Guan couldn't hide his disappointment. "I can't believe that such a precious sword has broken. I would like to see it." However, Song Gaeun sternly rejected the request. "I'm sorry. Even if you asked for it, that's a bit difficult." Guan's mood soured at the rejection. "Then I will be in trouble." Taken aback, Song Gaeun pressed for clarification. "Excuse me? What do you mean?" As tension escalated, one of Guan's subordinates interjected with a dismissive tone. "What's so difficult about showing us a broken sword? If the sword is broken, it's now a useless item, isn't it?" Jinwoo, fiercely protective, immediately stepped in. "What did you say? I will not tolerate any further disrespect." The subordinate, undeterred, sought permission from Guan. "Can I kill him?" Guan's mockery gave way to a serious demeanor. "This man may be under me, but he has a fiery temper, and even I find him quite difficult to handle. Just show him the sword. I just want to confirm it, and then I'll leave." Refusing to yield, Song Gaeun stood her ground. "No, I refuse." Guan's threat loomed ominously. "Do you really want to see bloodshed?" Contemplating the gravity of the situation, Song Gaeun felt a pang of disbelief and concern. No matter how unfathomable people can be, someone who was so warm to me since my childhood, I can't believe he's like this. Worried about their safety, she pondered further. Without the Red Dragon Divine Sword, can Jinwoo manage against them with just an ordinary sword? The weight of the decision hung heavily upon her shoulders as she grappled with the potential consequences. As tension reached its peak, a voice suddenly cut through the atmosphere from behind. "Yes, the sword is broken," announced Kong Mujiak, who had appeared at the scene. One of Guan's subordinates scoffed in disbelief. "How would you know that?" Unfazed by the skepticism, Kong Mujiak strode confidently toward Song Gaeun. "Because I'm the one who broke it." The subordinate's eyes widened in shock, his face contorting with anger and disbelief. "You broke the Red Dragon Divine Sword? You're joking!" he spat out, his voice dripping with incredulity. Ignoring the man, Kong Mujiak greeted Song Gaeun with a casual smile. "We meet again?" he said, his tone light and friendly despite the tense atmosphere surrounding them. Growing increasingly furious at being ignored, the subordinate moved to draw his sword. However, Guan swiftly intervened, his voice commanding authority. "Enough!" Observing Kong Mujiak closely, Guan pondered the situation. "What's this? Who's this guy? I didn't even notice him until he got really close." The sudden appearance of Kong Mujiak added another layer of intrigue to the already tense situation. Seeing the despised figure before her, Song Gaeun's voice dripped with disdain. "What nerve do you have to show your face in front of me again?" Kong Mujiak's response was unexpectedly calm. "To apologize." Furious at his audacity, Song Gaeun's tone grew sharper. "An apology? If you take your own life here as an apology, then I'll accept it." Caught off guard by her intensity, Kong Mujiak couldn't help but chuckle nervously. Well, that's too much, isn't it? Despite his attempt at levity, the tension in the air remained palpable. Guan swiftly interjected, his tone commanding authority. State your identity. Kong Mujiak remained composed as he responded simply, the requester, Kong Mujiak. Guan's brows furrowed as he processed the name. Kong Mujiak? That's a new name. Immediately, he sent a telepathic message to his subordinates, seeking more information. Do you know him? His subordinates responded promptly. His faction and name, both are unfamiliar. I also haven't heard of him. Guan pondered inwardly, weighing the possibilities. If none of us have heard of him, he's either an inconsequential weakling or a recluse expert who has not shown himself before now. I've heard tales of a hermit master who's never shown his true colors until now. Meanwhile, Kong Mujiak proceeded to state his purpose. Over the past 4 days, I've heard a lot of rumors about you. It seems I might have misunderstood you a bit back then. I was too hasty. I apologize. Song Gaean's fury remained undiminished as she lashed out. Do you really think a simple apology can make up for breaking the Red Dragon Divine Sword? Because of that, our family might be ruined, you know? Unperturbed, Kong Mujiak offered a different perspective. What was broken that day was not just a sword. Does a clan that was once hailed as a prestigious sect crumble just because a single sword broke? What was truly broken was your will to lead the clan. If your will is that weak, it's only natural that this clan might perish. Fixing the sword isn't something I can help with, but I can help you regain your will. Jinwoo, reflecting on Kong Mujiak's words, mused. He is right. It's not a situation where everything should be given up just because a sword was broken. You must have been too tired mentally from defending the gate alone all this time. Heard enough, Song Gaean retorted. Have you said everything you needed to say? Quick to respond, Kong Mujiak affirmed. Yes, I'm done. So now. Before he could finish his sentence, Song Gan drew her sword and declared, Then now, I'll kill you. However, Jinwoo swiftly intervened, pleading, Please help us. Even if it wasn't intentional, you're the one who broke the Red Dragon Divine Sword. We have no alternatives right now, so you have to help us. Considering the request, Kong Mujiak expressed his concerns. I'd like to help, but what if this lady refuses? If the involved party doesn't want it, what can I do? Left with no other choice, Song Gaean proposed a deal. If you agree to the 3 favors I'm about to propose, we can pretend that the sword-breaking incident never happened. Agreeing to the terms, Kong Mujiak laid out his conditions. The requests have to be within my abilities and must be justifiable. If it's an unreasonable request, I'm going to reject it. And lastly, if I don't feel like doing it, I won't. Satisfied with the conditions, Song Gaean proceeded with her first request, pointing towards her guests. Drive them away immediately. Teach them a lesson so they never dare to approach again. That is. She looked towards Kong Mujiak, awaiting his response. With those words, he sealed the deal, grinning confidently. Oh ho! That's totally doable. I accept. Agreeing to fulfill Song Gaean's 3 requested favors. Little did he know, this agreement would set the stage for what was to come.